Good morning, everyone. I want to start today with a passage that has shaped the way I think about courage, failure, and showing up in life. It comes from Theodore Roosevelt's speech, Citizenship in a Republic, where he says, "It is not the critic who counts, the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena." Whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. This is not just a quote, it's a call to courage. It's a reminder that the people who truly make a difference are the ones who step into the ring, knowing full well that they might, and yet how many of us are afraid to step in. Vulnerability, the price of courage. We live in a world that rewards perfection, that tells us failure is something to be avoided at all costs. But here's what we get wrong. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Courage isn't about never falling. It's about standing up after we do. Vulnerability, the willingness to show up when we can't control the outcome, is the price of admission to a meaningful life. The critics and the cheap seats. Let's be real. When we step into the arena, the critics will be there. There will always be people on the sidelines watching, judging, and saying, I would never do it that way. The thing is, they're not in the ring. They're not the ones taking risks, putting their hearts on the line, or daring to create something new. So here's a rule I live by. If you're not in the arena getting your butt kicked too, I'm not interested in your criticism. The power of rising strong. What happens when we fail? Because if we're daring greatly, we will fail. That's not a question of if, but when. This is where resilience comes in. Resilience is not just about bouncing back. It's about integrating the lessons of our falls into how we rise again. It's about saying, that hurt, that was hard, but I'm still here and I'm going to try again. And let's be clear, courage is contagious. When we show up, we give others permission to do the same. When we dare greatly, we create a space where others feel safe to be brave too. Finding your people. One of the biggest myths about success is that we have to do it alone. But the truth is, we all need trusted allies, people who believe in us, who will pick us up when we fall, and who will tell us the truth even when it's hard to hear. Not the people in the cheap seats, not the anonymous voices on the internet, but the ones who are willing to stand beside us in the messiness of it all, daring to define our own success. Finally, we need to talk about success because too often we measure our worth by external achievements, titles, salaries, applause. But real success, it's about living in alignment with our values. It's about stepping into the arena, not because we are guaranteed victory, but because we refuse to sit on the sidelines of our own lives. So today I leave you with this. Are you in the arena? Are you willing to stand in the dust and the sweat, knowing that it won't always be easy? Because that is where life happens. The credit does not belong to the critic. It belongs. Thank you. Stepping into the arena means choosing to be seen even when there are no guarantees. It means embracing the discomfort of uncertainty and the possibility of failure. But here's the truth. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It is the most accurate measure of courage. Every great leader, innovator, artist, and change maker has stood at the edge of uncertainty and said, I'm going to show up anyway. The problem is we've been taught to protect ourselves from vulnerability. We armor up. We avoid situations where we might fail, look foolish, or feel exposed. But when we do that, we also shut ourselves off from the very things that give life meaning, connection, creativity, and personal growth. Without vulnerability, there is no innovation, no learning, and no progress. Think about the moments in your life that have mattered most, the ones that shaped you. They probably weren't the easy ones. They were the times when you took a risk, when you put yourself out there despite the fear, when you dared to care about something deeply. Vulnerability is the birthplace of courage because you cannot be brave. Theodore Roosevelt's words remind us that the ones who make a difference are those willing to stand in the arena, faces marred by dust and sweat, not because they are fearless, but because they are willing to move forward despite the fear. That is the essence of daring greatly, choosing to show up fully, imperfectly, and wholeheartedly. And courage is a choice we make, often in the smallest moments. It's not always about grand gestures or heroic acts. It's about the everyday decisions to lean into discomfort rather than retreat into safety. When faced with uncertainty, our instinct is to protect ourselves, to stay in the familiar, to choose comfort. But comfort is not where growth happens. Growth happens when we step beyond what is easy and embrace what is necessary. Choosing courage means being willing to risk failure, criticism, and even rejection. It means acknowledging fear, but not letting it dictate our actions. The voices of doubt, whether external or internal, will always try to keep us small, convincing us that it's better to stay quiet, not take the leap, not raise our hand. But if we let those voices win, we trade possibility for security, and we never truly step into our potential. The arena is not for those who sit safely on the sidelines. It's for those who are willing to be uncomfortable in pursuit of something greater than their fear. Every time we choose courage over comfort, we redefine what we are capable of. And that is where real transformation begins. Shame and fear are powerful forces that keep us from stepping into the arena. They whisper in our ears, telling us we're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. They convince us that if we try and fail, we will be judged, rejected, or even ridiculed. And so instead of taking risks, we stay small. We choose silence over speaking up, hesitation over action, and safety over vulnerability. Um, but here's what we need to understand: shame thrives in secrecy. The more we hide from it, the stronger it becomes. When we bring it into the light, when we acknowledge it, name it, and talk about it, we strip it of its power. The fear of judgment is universal, but we have a choice. We can let it keep us on the sidelines, or we can recognize that no one who has ever done anything meaningful did so without facing fear. The truth is, the critics will always be there, but their voices don't define us. What defines us is our willingness to stand up, to try, and to keep moving forward despite the fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action in the face of it. Failure is inevitable when we dare to do something meaningful. The question is not whether we will fall, but how we will rise when we do. The most resilient people are not those who avoid failure, but those who see it as a teacher, not a verdict. They understand that every stumble holds a lesson, every setback builds strength, and every failure is an opportunity to grow. What often holds us back is not failure itself, but the shame we attach to it. We tell ourselves that failing means we are not good enough, that we should have never tried in the first place. But failure is not a reflection of our worth. It is proof that we are in the arena, that we are daring greatly. Resilience is built in the moments after failure, in the choice to get back up, to process what happened, and to move forward with greater wisdom. It's about recognizing that falling is part of the journey, not the end of it. The most successful people in any field are not those who have never failed, but those who have learned how to rise again and again. No one succeeds alone. The idea of the self-made person is a myth because every great achievement is built on the foundation of support, trust, and connection. We need people in our lives who encourage us, challenge us, and remind us of our worth when we forget. These are not the critics in the cheap seats throwing opinions from the sidelines. They're the ones who stand beside us in the arena, willing to get their hands dirty alongside us. Having trusted allies means finding people who will tell us the truth, not just what we want to hear. They will celebrate our wins, but they will also call us out when we are holding back out of fear. These are the people who remind us that failure is not the end, that we are more than our mistakes, and that showing up matters more than perfection. Choosing who we listen to is just as important as choosing to step into the arena. Not every voice deserves space in our minds. The loudest critics are often those who have never dared greatly themselves. The voices that truly matter belong to those who are willing to walk the journey with us. Success is often defined by external markers, money, titles, recognition, or social approval. We are conditioned to believe that achievement is measured by how we compare to others, by how much we accumulate, or by how many people applaud our efforts. But true success is not about meeting someone else's expectations. It is about living in alignment with our own values and purpose. When we allow others to define success for us, we risk chasing goals that do not fulfill us. We might achieve what the world considers success and still feel empty inside because we were never pursuing what truly mattered to us. Real success is about showing up authentically, doing work that aligns with our values, and having the courage to follow our own path, even when it looks different from what society expects. There will always be people who judge our choices, who tell us we should aim higher, do more, or be different, but they are not the ones in the arena with us. What matters is whether we can look at our lives and say, I showed up, I dared greatly, I stayed true to myself. Because in the end, success is not about how the world measures us, it is about whether we had the courage to live fully, love deeply, and pursue what makes us come alive. At the heart of The Man in the Arena is a simple but powerful truth. The credit does not belong to the critic. It belongs to the person who dares to step forward, knowing full well that failure is possible, but choosing to try anyway. Courage is not about being fearless, it's about feeling the fear and showing up regardless. It's about choosing vulnerability over comfort, resilience over defeat, and authenticity over approval. The world will always have critics, but their opinions do not define our worth. What defines us is our willingness to stand in the arena, to embrace the uncertainty, and to rise every time we fall. Ugh. We are not meant to live small, safe lives dictated by fear of failure or judgment. We are meant to dare greatly, to chase the things that set our souls on fire, and to surround ourselves with people who remind us of our strength when we forget. So the question is not whether you will face obstacles or criticism. You will. The real question is, will you step into the arena anyway? Because that is where real life happens. That is where courage is built. That is where you truly come alive.